afternoon, Civic Space TV viewers. Welcome to another exciting episode of Women Rise. My name is Madreen. Yes, I hope you're all doing well wherever you're watching us from. Feel free to like the program, leave a comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and of course follow all our conversations on Civic Space TV social media platforms. We are everywhere on all social media platforms. Yes, it is another weekend, and we are so happy to be back, and I hope you keep you keep engaging with all the conversations that run on Civic Space TV Monday to Sunday. Yes, Women Rise is here for you. It's a beautiful conversation, always here with exciting guests and interesting conversations and stories. Today we have Yvonne Mpambara. Yvonne, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm well.
You look so lovely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, so dear.
yes. Our guest looks so lovely, but Yvonne is a lawyer. She's an African youth leader, social justice advocate, and presidential candidate. Yes, 2026 to 2031, aspiring presidential candidate. We are so happy to have you, Yvonne, and we look forward to enjoying the conversation with you. So Yvonne is committed to building a Uganda where leadership truly reflects the voices of all its people, especially women and youth. She's the founder of a foundation for female presidential aspirants, and she's nurturing a new generation of women leaders with the courage to contest and win at the highest levels. Yeah, I think this explains why she's here, why she's aspiring for the position that we talked about. And we want to know more about her journey. She has been in leadership and still aspiring for a big leadership position. So take your seat, and enjoy the conversation. So Yvonne, say hello to our viewers.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be on this space.
Yes.
It's a space that I have loved and cherished. I feel like I've nurtured.
You're
welcome.
Also grown.
I've also grown with this space. I've grown deeply with the women's movement.
Yeah.
And it's an area where I have put so much effort and work. And I feel like that's a community that I've really truly built in Uganda. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy that you're among the first people to even be putting out my message.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. We also don't take this for granted. We appreciate and wish you well. Yeah. So Yvonne, to someone who is seeing you for the very first time, who is Yvonne? How do you describe yourself?
Well, Yvonne, who is Yvonne? Who is Yvonne Mpambara?
Yeah.
One, I'm a social justice lawyer. I will emphasize that because I have fought for social justice. I continue to fight for social justice. I'm not just any other lawyer. I am one that is rooted to the communities and making sure that we serve justice. So I've largely been working around social issues to make sure that, marginalized groups are heard, not just heard, but their well-being is prioritized, but at the same time that, we are pushing even at the policy-making level to make sure that whatever development efforts are happening, whatever laws are being passed, whatever is being discussed, even in the top executive, has the marginalized people at the forefront, but also at the heart of whatever conversations those are. So on top of being a social justice lawyer, I'm also an equitable philanthropist. We deeply engage in how communities contribute to development. It's very important to remember that most of our communities have always been contributors to development. So I make sure that, the world also understands how Ugandans have always been at the heart of philanthropy. But also on top of that, I'm a strong advocate for women and youth, especially their health, but also in leadership. Right?
Yeah.
Also in leadership. Yeah, I feel that's okay.
Okay. So before we go into what you are today, we want to know more about who Yvonne was. Where do you come from, first of all? Take us through your childhood experience, your education background. Yes.
Okay. So Yvonne. Yvonne. One, I grew up in Kanungu and Kabale. Those are my founding districts.
Yeah.
My first 8 years, I grew up in Kanungu. And then after that, I grew up in Kabale. I went to primary school at Kabale Preparatory School, famously known as KPS. A lot of people, if you hear them on the street, they'll tell you KPS. But they're not referring to the one in Kampala.
Okay.
So when you hear people telling you
Kampala,
KPS, they're talking about Kabale. It was so good that it even overshadowed the one
Kampala.
here. I'm not advertising. And so I went for primary school. I was in KPS, Kabale Preparatory School. Then for secondary school, for all the 6 years, I went to Mount St. Mary's, Namagunga. Then after that, I pursued a law degree at Makerere University, right? Largely there were so many conflicts. My father, or my uncle who raised me, was more interested in me doing international relations. But I went behind the meandered and did a law degree.
Law degree.
Registered myself at Makerere, did a law degree.
Oh, your parents didn't know about you registering?
I mean, eventually they knew because I told them, you know, I've registered, I've gotten into law school, I'd already gotten really good grades, so it was very easy. And they took me on. The university took me on, and I studied a law degree. Surprisingly enough, I don't know, we never listened to parents. When I grew up, after all this was done and said, I realized my main interest was diplomacy.
Can you imagine?
Diplomacy. Now up to today, that's the space I'm trying to get in. But I largely love the path I've taken. You know, social justice work has been very enriching. The legal background has been something that has really deeply entrenched me. So I feel majority of that has been that most of my childhood. Let me not try to sing for you because now, because of presidential
No, please tell us one of those, you know, that most moments, the good ones, the good, nice moments that you remember about your childhood.
One, I was a very stubborn child. Very, very stubborn.
Very stubborn. Very stubborn.
I was talkative in class. I was stubborn. I remember this one time, I think one of the teachers thought I was very playful, but I wanted to go out and go and use the restrooms, and he refused. And everyone feared that teacher so much. I got up from my desk and walked out.
Without even asking for permission.
I came back and said, you cannot enter my class again. I said, what do you mean? I paid you to teach me. What do you mean I can't enter your class again?
So which class was that? Because
this was in P7.
This
was in P7. I told him, I'm going to enter. Oh, we are going to actually have an issue. He said no. So I went straight to the headmistress. I told her, this teacher has refused me to enter and study. And then she asked me what has happened. I said, I went outside to use the restrooms. I felt I was desperate and I couldn't even wait to ask. So I went out and used them and came back. She said, that is very funny. So she came and talked to the teacher. The teacher gets very angry because what are you going to tell a kid that you cannot? So I sat back in the class and everyone starts clearing their throats and fidgeting in their seats. I didn't even realize what I had done.
You really had to fight for your rights.
I just had to fight for my right to go outside and come back into the class. So I was a bit stubborn, but I was also very cautious. I loved being very conscious of the people around me. I remember I had so many friends who were from different backgrounds. KPS had so many children, especially Kabale Preparatory. There were so many kids from different districts. But then it's like that area where we're now nurturing each other to understand this one from Bara behaves like this, the one from Kampala behaves like this, the one from Kanungu, like myself, behaves like this. So it was a growing moment for most of us. And I remember that's why some of my leadership work actually started. Because it's when my friends and I I remember when we started a book club and we were saying we need to donate books. And let me not surprise you, it was around Harry Potter. Imagine we had read the books, we said, but imagine other kids reading this imagination who are excited by superpowers, what. So I said, everyone who has books, bring them and we give them out to kids who do not have them. So we were about 3-4 friends. We collected books. A few of us had extra shoes. We said, we're going to hand them over to the headmistress. She hands them over to people who might need them. And before we knew it, the school had picked up. The whole class said, oh, we're willing to donate. So they were donating books all the way from like P1, books that will help kids study. And we're able to donate them and give them away. And then I also remember largely how that was around P5. In P6, I remember that was the first position I ran for. I ran for dining prefect. I do know the reason why.
Why?
I wanted to be close to food. Because I knew I'd have the high table where I eat. But also I knew I'd be the one who tells everyone lunch is ready.
Lunch is ready.
Break is ready. What I didn't realize is that service, that position needed someone to do service besides getting ready to eat and knowing when meals are ready so that you can go and eat yourself.
And most times you'd even, you're the last person to eat.
Exactly. Exactly. But in my head, I was not yet envisioning that because I was still developing to understand what leadership is. And then there's this gentleman, I remember very well how I lost by a landslide, huge. There's this gentleman who used to come. Sometimes in the class, he would come and bring, there are some famous samosas called Karechera samosas. He's a very famous person in Kabale, but even here in Kampala, he has infiltrated the message for having very nice sumbusas. So this boy used to bring them, almost every could bring some and we divide them in the class. So I don't know then how it did not trick on my brain that is someone people would actually vote
for,
to lead them. Me in my head I said, as long as I have the ambition to run, I can run and people will vote for me. Why not?
And they leave the one who brings samosas.
Even I that morning ate his samosas. So I was wondering, but now he's going to vote for me. Girl, this man has voted for samosas and he's been serving samosas. So I definitely lost by a landslide.
You lost that.
By a landslide.
Yeah.
Those are very good memories. Those are very good memories. But also, majority of my childhood has been shaped by a great pair of hands. I have extraordinary parents, from my grandparents to my mother, to my uncle who raised me. My father passed away when I was very young.
Oh, sorry.
My mother was very young when she had me as well. I have very young parents. But they've been very hands-on. And there are people that have taught me along the way that you must always be an honest person. I'm going to tell you this funny story that I've told so many of my friends. I remember a time, my uncle has raised me for such a huge part of my life. I remember a time, I think I was around 16. And I had got, remember we used to have these airtime scratch cards. I collected so many. So this random time, I didn't have airtime. They had given me little allowance for airtime that I'd already finished because I had so many pot call. I don't remember what I was calling. And I'd finished it. Now I started devising ways of getting airtime. No one could send me. No, our kids were all broke.
Yeah.
So now I started going to these old scratch cards and putting in numbers.
One by one.
One by one. So I put in, I started forging numbers. I started doing what? Eventually I got like 1,000. So I'm there feeling very brilliant. I got to my dear uncle to show off. I told him, do you know what I've done today?
Yeah.
I told him, today I got free airtime. I scratched these things. I loaded it. And the man looked at me so shocked.
You got airtime.
He said, of all the things you can use your brain for, you want to use
You're
it to
doing
steal?
this.
He said, never in your life use your brain to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that message stuck with me. Because
But these were used, cards. Someone has already scratched it, meaning
but
they
you
don't
see,
need
I was
it.
also fidgeting with a number to try and get more airtime. And I indeed got some airtime. That's why I went to him to show off that I was so smart. I'd beaten the system. He said, no. It might sound smart to you.
Yeah,
but
but
the
it's
minute you
not
learn to be a
right.
thief,
Yeah.
it's going to go down.
And that's how it starts, by the way.
He said, never, ever even think you can tell someone that.
Yeah.
He said, don't do the wrong thing and be proud of it.
Yeah.
I carry that message up to today.
Wow.
Up to
Right
today.
grooming. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, we are having an interesting conversation with Yvonne here. And Yvonne, your leadership starts right away from school when you're still young. What are some of the things that you think made you a good leader then, but also to the leadership positions that you're holding at the moment?
Well, the leadership journey I've had has truly refined me, because I've learned to understand that people's hopes actually make you humble. If people have hopes in your leadership, it's humility that you need to calm down and listen. If you don't listen, you forget what people's voices sound like. And the minute you start forgetting, now most of the interests you have become centered around yourself, right? Because leadership is about service. If you forget to serve people, you have lost the path. So it became refined in a way that I learned to be very humble around people. The things I would speak were centered in what I've listened to and I've experienced and watched people go through. Because of the fact that I was at the center of so many communities, I learned to see how women struggle. I've been thinking about how even recently I was seeing one of our big leaders saying that he's going to arrest bumless women, and I'm realizing there's a struggle there because you have a leader who doesn't listen.
Yeah.
You're constantly telling someone that this form of what you're doing is violence against a certain category of Ugandans, and they don't want to listen because to them it's not an issue that you must respect women, and they continue to do it. Those are leaders that don't listen because they have assumed that leadership is just about what
About
they're interested
themselves,
in pushing.
yeah.
Right? It is why you find something like that funny, that you think you terrorizing Ugandan women, that they are nyashless. I don't know where he gets those words from, probably Gen Z language. Because they're nyashless, bumless. I don't know how you'd think that something like that is something that is okay for you to speak about. Leadership has also taught me about power and empathy, why even control is not something you must be thinking about to lead people, and why service is something that is what you have to push above control, right? So when you feel what power is and how you must understand how to lead, you realize that the empathy you have has to be rooted in service to people. But it's also realizing that where so many of our leaders have destroyed, you have to learn to build. Where they are trying to dissect people, you have to learn to protect. It's parts where you learn now that people are not listening, and you have to learn to listen. That is one of the biggest challenges we're having now with generations. No one wants to account for what they've done wrong. No one wants to. And we don't realize that it's a general problem with the rest of the country. We put it on leaders, but even as individuals, we do not have that skill to listen.
Back to us, yeah.
Not just listening, but even if you've listened, are you accountable? You say, you know what, this is wrong, I shouldn't do it. Or if I've done it, I owe it to the person I've done it to either apologize or make it right with them. So that empathy is not there. We are trading on it's not even eggshells. We've reached a point where we are all just disorganized. We push whatever personal interests we have, and that's it. And to us, as long as you have a title, we've assumed that's leadership.
The rest don't matter.
They don't matter. You're assuming because a title has given you a leadership position, that is all you need to think about. But you're forgetting that people who put you in leadership have expectations of you. So you must meet those expectations.
Their hope is in you.
The hope is in you. But we become so power-centered that we forget the reason why we've been put in leadership positions, that we are put there to serve, and that there are voices you need to listen to, that you're meant to serve. They're not just for you. It's a diverse set of voices. So that's where leadership has put me. It has transformed me from that girl who asks questions to now the woman that is going to provide the answers.
Wow. So still about leadership, to any young girl, and you're a young woman and you want, you've been in leadership, but there are so many issues that are centered around women and mainly into leadership positions. And they're not so common that women will come out and speak about these challenges. Yes, we've seen women in parliament having issues, but then they will decide to stay quiet. How do you think we should handle this? And to any young girl who is watching you right now, wants to take on leadership, be it in politics or any other level, what can they focus on and how can they overgo these challenges? And what are some of the issues you think women are fighting with in leadership?
Well, I'm glad you've asked that question, because one, I put myself out there as an example, right? Women for a long time have been told to be submissive, be gentle. The minute someone hears my voice, they are scared. They say, why do you sound like a man? Mamuchiga was raised in Kabale. We shout over hills. I've grown up with an uncle who told me, never ever subdue your voice. If I can't hear you, I'm not going to respond. And even if you're steady and you start whispering, he will not respond to you. He said, I'm going to raise girls in this house that know how to talk.
Wow.
If you cannot raise your voice where someone can hear you and you communicate properly, I will pretend I've not heard you. So for a long time, women have been told that your role is remain silent, gentle. You can see the way they groom girls. You remain gentle and your role is service to other people.
Decisions are made, you're not included.
You're not included. They never put you at the forefront of being that leader who shouts and says, this is wrong, make it right. Right? Because the minute you do that, you lose the gentility of what they've raised you to be. Reason why you're raised to serve other people. Women go through so many issues, and I'm going to cater to most of them now, the way I even experienced them myself, the way I see so many young women experiencing issues, right? We go from young children that are giving birth. Why are Ugandan children giving birth? Teenage mothers. The numbers are rampant. The sexual abuse that came out of COVID, kids being pregnant by their fathers and uncles, how is that excusable? Right? And we talk about gender equality in this country like it's a big thing we've achieved. But you have children that are giving birth to children. The youngest grandmother, I think, in this entire continent comes from Uganda. She's how old? Around 25, 26? I think she was slightly younger than that. So that means that is generations of carried trauma, of sexual abuse. Because it's not their fellow age mates that are making them pregnant. Can a 10-year-old boy make a girl pregnant? That's sexual abuse, right? We have so much, and now that we're in the digital era, my goodness, we have so much technology-facilitated violence, image abuse. People are creating artificial intelligence videos of women, naked videos, nudes, distributing them. That is one of my biggest worries now as I run for president. What happens if someone puts out something there that is not true? I know I've never sent anyone a video of such a nature. But what happens when someone puts it out there and says, I'm very sure this is a person.
And this is the information that will move very fast.
It moves very fast. It looks realistic. It's very easy to believe. And so many women are going through it because these are forms of violence they face over and over and no one wants to actually properly address. If you have leaders who are still making fun and objectifying you, how do you think are going to resolve issues around violence? How do you think they're going to stop putting out AI videos of naked women and making fun of them? Yet you, the leader, are making fun of your own citizens. Women are the majority in this country. So are they stooges for leaders when they are going to vote? That's when they remember that we have human rights and that we are people who deserve to be treated right. Right? The workplace abuse. Jesus Christ. Women are paid less, first of all. It's 2025. But in so many sectors, women are still paid less than men because they believe men have more responsibilities than women. Women are working. They're going home and taking care of families. Some are even now putting kameza for men. But you're paying them less. And you're saying it's not an issue because for the longest time, the systems we've been in have taught us that men provide, so they deserve the most resources and most money.
And the respect,
And the respect and there's a woman carrying all these burdens. She's even doing the part that was reserved for the man, and no one wants to talk about it. They're saying, that's how things have always been. Leave them like that. Right? So people are in workplaces, they are earning low, they're not earning enough. Government has failed to put a minimum wage up to today, 2025. So everyone just takes advantage, especially of girls. After they've slept with them in workspaces, what do? They pay you 300,000 for a job that probably entails like 3 million. And they have no problem with that. They're not being paid. But how many movements also of young women out there are in work that is recognized as contentious? Sex workers. Politicians sit there every day and tell us, we are speaking for marginalized groups. They cannot even mention who the marginalized groups are. How many politicians have you heard talking about a movement of sex workers? And it's not just a movement of women anymore. Men have also evolved to join it. But
talk about it.
Where the laws protect them from violence, from the low pay, where are they? But everyone is scared of talking about it. The other day they released a story.
But Yvonne, we have so many and a big number of women in parliament today. Where is the problem? Why can't women, stand up to speak about these issues affecting us?
One, you don't have a big number. That's a lie. You have about 30%. And 30% of that has
compared
also...
to, those days, at least we have more women in power. We have the speaker is a woman. We have the vice president. At least we have women in power.
The system of governance that we have in Uganda cannot enable anyone to actually lead. If power is centralized to one person, how do you expect the speaker to do her job? Yet you come down on her and vet violence like never seen before. She cannot do her role. If you know that power is only around one man, you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure you do not annoy him. Because what happens if you annoy him?
You
lose your seat, but you don't just lose it. Something worse happens, right? We have so many people playing so many political gimmicks. You may have that representation, but what kind of governance do you have to enable them to meaningfully participate? Maybe that's why you now need a female president. They have accused women of nurturing generations, and we call nurturers. So why can't they now come and nurture this country back to what it's supposed to be? If governance has failed to be what it is, and we will acknowledge that the leaders now have done what they can, But now the transition is.
Transitioning.
Let people go there and nurture this country. And if we're insisting that women are nurturers, let them go and nurture Uganda back to what we want it to be. So the representation is there at small. I want it to be at 50%. 30% is not enough. Let them also get in there and do all the mistakes they can. We learn from there and also transition, right?
Yeah.
30% is not enough.
Okay.
And it's not enough, especially when they cannot meaningfully contribute to good governance.
Yeah.
Because the main head of the fish has rotten the entire system. You cannot expect now to put the obligation of correcting that rotten entire system on one woman, on a speaker, on who, to do the right thing, and yet she has also found a system that is completely dead.
Should be a collective effort, yeah.
It has to be a collective effort. If the fish is rotten from the head, you can't expect the rest of the body parts to be eatable.
Yeah,
you can't eat them.
Right.
They are not eatable.
Yeah.
They're not digestible. So 30%, small.
Very small number.
Completely gimmickal. Those are gimmicks.
Yeah.
Politics is gimmicks. If power is not decentralized to make it meaningful for each and every person participating in it, you can't expect now the few women you have there to be the ones to correct it. We have to overhaul the entire structure.
And you talk of, a collective effort. I think this will take us to the young women. We have a lot of young women, rising up to take up these positions. First of all, which woman do you look up to in leadership?
One of my favorite women, Winnie Byanyima. They call me a young Winnie Byanyima. I don't know where that came from, but I have always looked up to Winnie
Why do you
Byanyima.
think people, refer you to?
Because they assume I'm just as bold as her. I've been in so many spaces and I've always fought for the right thing. I'm not supposed to stay silent because you've told people to be silent. It doesn't make sense to me to be quiet. If I see something wrong, I will tell you, do you think that is right? Why are you doing it? So people assume because we are raised like that, they'll even give you names or be like, Oyavakabale. But it has nothing to do with where I'm from.
Yeah.
It has something to do with me seeing the value of being honest. Winnie Byanyima is very honest and very bold. You can see those fights she even has online with people where they're trying to silence her, telling her, you're already in a UN structure. Why should you be speaking on local politics? What do you mean? The role of you being in a global structure is for you to translate domestic issues to the global stage.
Yeah.
So why would you tell her it's her role to be silent and only concentrate on what she's doing in the US? So Winnie Byanyima has shaped so much of my life. And at a certain point, I also wanted to be a pilot. I think I was really copying her so much. I had said, this is the woman I'm going to be like. I strategized myself to be like, I reached aviation classes were impossible.
Yeah.
You can afford. I couldn't afford. But I look up to her and I feel she has done amazing work. I also feel Winnie Keys the Winnies are doing well. Winnie Keys has also done extraordinary work.
Yeah.
She has done extraordinary work. And I give it to her. I give it to her to understand what this political space has been like, to go in there and lead parliament as leader of opposition, but also know the time to leave.
Yeah, right. Oh, very important.
She knew the time to leave. That's why up to today you can respect her.
It's a very tricky one,
Yes, because for each day they're saying how much money they're getting, their allowances, they're very excited.
Leaving is tricky.
These are the issues up to today.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issues up to today.
Yeah.
I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
You
I blabbered a lot.
You did. And to the women that you look up to, what do you think these young women can interest themselves in, the young women, to see that at least we try to push the agendas of the women that you talk about, that they started, and we want these young girls to also engage with and push on so that we have women at the center or at the top, like the gentlemen.
Women must break into all spaces and they have to take spaces at our tables. If we learn to speak, I know there are so many barriers that have taught us to be silent, but we must learn to speak. And I'm seeing a lot of them coming up now.
Right from school, you can hold, a girls rarely, will come up even to speak or say prayers or just this normal. At school, you're in class. Girls are very few.
There are few. But we must learn to speak. That's what I can emphasize. And if we learn to speak and take up space, it's very important. So many are doing a great job right now. I don't want to lie. There are so many women and young girls that have said, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to take governance into our own hands. We're going to take health into our own hands. We're going to take different sectors. STEM is now doing quite well, pushing women, you know. And girls are saying we're going to take up most of these positions and work hard and make sure I infiltrate these spaces. So I'm very, very glad. Online teaching, you've seen what women are doing online. When men are laughing and being nonsensical, women are teaching. Young women are teaching you. No, this is what should be right. Push for the right thing, you know. I'm very proud of what women are doing, but I know there's still so much work to do in terms of pushing women to represent, and not just represent, to meaningfully represent. We don't want you to represent leadership in our workspace and you're a bully. It will not make sense. You're the one taking money, you're the one making people uncomfortable. That is not leadership.
And your fellow women cannot even approach you.
They cannot even approach you to bring issues to you. They cannot, because you are something that has detached from the reality of other women. So when we are women pushing and we are speaking, we need to remember that the voices of so many other women, those before us, those who are with us, and those that will come after us, are going to depend on that voice that we're going to use. So we must occupy space. We must be willing to push. You know, they keep telling women we are afraid of power. And at times they use it as a tactic. They'll tell you, but women, you can't handle power. You're emotional. You're so silent. You cannot articulate issues well. Who told you women can't articulate issues well? Who told you that? Women can articulate themselves, and they are learning too, and they're taking up space, right? So women should take up leadership. Women have to be willing to lead. Women have to be willing to push, no matter what mistakes you make. Those are mistakes that make you human. You have to be willing to push. You don't be scared of power. If we're all scared of power, men are going to lead until this world comes to an end. So when will it start for us? It has to begin today. We have to take governance into our own hands. Women are the majority in this country. If women rose up and said enough is enough, like they are doing now, you see how much this country will actually shake. It will.
And we are happy that, you know, Yvonne here is taking a decision to, you know, to run for presidency. She's aspiring for a president 2026, 2031 as a young woman. Yes, we wish her well. She says you have to take up these positions and keep pushing on the agenda of women empowerment, women gender equity, and all that issues affecting women. Yes, so Yvonne, as an African youth leader, what are some of the positions you've handled? You know, African meaning you move around Africa. What are some of the positions you've held, and what are some of the things that you feel you've done for the young people of Africa?
Well, majority of my work around the region and continental has been in pushing policies. Those policies that cater on young people's health, women's health, but also making sure that, you know, young people have a voice at the regional table, but also at the continental table. We've been pushing for a visa-free Africa. I think I even recently put up a clip where in South Africa in 2023, and we're trying to push the government to, the two governments, especially for you, who are representing Uganda. So we're trying to have that conversation between ourselves and South Africa on how we can push a visa-free Africa so that young people can start penetrating most of these countries to trade, to do all these other things, get digital skills. So we've been trying to make sure we represent in terms of what their voice is out there on the global stage, on the continental stage, but also at regional. But also we've done so much mentorship. I belong to, one of the first groups I belonged to was called the African Youth Caucus, that was largely centered around diplomacy for young people. So we realized the gap for young people when it comes to diplomacy. We realized that probably most of the issues, you know, are mostly local. So how do we start infiltrating the regional and continental stage? So we started organizing mentorship programs with diplomats and consulates and people involved in embassies, so they can start teaching young people these skills. You know, this is how diplomats work, this is what you can carry for your country, this is what you can say about it. So also the message out there is not just people assuming young people are violent, but they're also builders and investors, they are traders, they are ambassadors, they are people that can do so much. So we've mentored, we have trained, We have made sure that young people understand what diplomacy looks like, but also not just that, we understand what all the regional policies and continental policies have to do with each other. If they're able to understand what that work at the global stage is, or what that work at continental and regional level is, they're able to understand how country relations actually work, because they've been largely involved, and they're able to track. But also, I have formed an organization. It's a foundation called the Foundation for Female Presidential Aspirants, and here we are largely targeting African young women between the ages of 18 to 35 for now to run for president. So we skill them, we link them to others that have already made it. We also link them to women that are in top positions. We link them to communities to understand how to lead, but on top of that, we make sure we teach them all the power dynamics of what power looks like, what are the tactics, what do you do when you're in a political party, how do you work with systems, what is good governance. We give them all the principled ways of running good governance, of being a good leader. So we've done it through largely, we try to do programs that can expose them to all this, but also it's us realizing that the biggest gap now lies at the top.
At the top.
Yes.
And where are you running these programs from? Like so maybe schools, universities, where?
It's not largely that. So what communities do, they send us people they feel are ambitious enough, and now us we train. So we pick some from different countries and we train them. We have some aspiring even from Zimbabwe, we have some aspiring from South Africa, and they're very interested. But the issue is most of them, like me, when you're entering the space, you're worried, what does power look like? Because you're not there, We look at power and say, oh, this looks like something for people that are very experienced.
Complicated,
It's complicated, there's violence here, this one is using some tactics you don't understand. So we assume it's very complicated for us to do, especially when we are young, but we don't realize that it seems complicated for us because we are not in the space to understand what's happening. So what the foundation does, it skills, it exposes them. They will have those meetings with a speaker, they will have but to just understand how power works, but also how certain women are bold enough to just take on power and lead, right? So the minute we have those people are willing to stand and run, we feel we are okay.
And Ugandans, where are Ugandan youth in this foundation?
Ugandan.
Do you have any Ugandan, Ugandan women, young women in this foundation?
So one of the first endorsements is myself here.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
It's largely in its starting phases because we began it last year, but we've been trying to get majority of the input, see how it is. Majority, I don't want to lie to you, majority of young people are worried about power.
True, because there is a lot that comes with it, the violence, the arrests, the abductions.
It's hectic,
yeah.
And people are scared.
The financing also.
It's expensive,
yes,
it is
very
scary,
expensive.
It consumes so much time. Young people don't have that money, they don't. So the first thing they'll think about is, no, these are ventures that are meant for very rich, exposed, elite people. So they automatically dismiss themselves.
The planned children.
The planned children. But we are there. We don't have money. We are pushing. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
If we continue to have categories of women who do not want to push, then what happens? We fail to break barriers. Because if every presidential election you have one woman, I don't know if we've even ever had two at any given point. Maybe like
presidential aspirants?
Yes.
Yeah, the history of Uganda. We had, the last one was Nancy.
No, that's the thing. You have one woman running against 9 men. Do you see that? Do you see the imbalance? Why aren't there more women running?
We had Chalia. I forgot.
Even Chalia was one.
Yeah.
Compared to how many men?
Yeah.
There are like 7 men. So you sit on that global stage and you're telling people, I always watch those presidential debates. You're seeing one woman. Meanwhile, they're even bullying her like a problem. She can barely finish talking. You're seeing one woman compared to 9 men on a stage. And you're wondering, what has happened to the rest of the women? But your country telling people, we've achieved gender equality. But the most visible thing to people's eyes, they don't see it. Because why is only one woman able to run? And even then the hurdles she has gone through, you won't believe it. Because she has almost dropped out. So that means you don't have a stage of men bullying elections and governance. Right? Women are very scared of running. The resources are not there. But how do we now start building that skill to tell them that, you know what, this is not just about money. Bring ambition and the community works with you. Partner with communities, partner with people, partner with Ugandans to push you as a leader. How do we nurture them to that level where they're all willing to run? If I was in this election with like 5 women, I would be very happy.
Yeah, I'm also imagining if, more than 6
I'd be very happy.
have come up.
But you're not sure if I can hear that 5 or so have made it through. I would be extremely happy. And I think that is a milestone even the country should celebrate, because it doesn't make sense that presidential elections come every single 5 years and you barely have a woman running.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. You cannot boost about gender equality when
Yet
the most
we are the
visible
majority.
aspect is not visible. You are the majority of the country. Where is the representation? So we have to start pushing. So that foundation is largely centered on that. If we start breaking that barrier, imagine now what starts happening at the lower stages.
Yeah.
They're already running, but now you start infiltrating more. And the more you infiltrate, the more you have representation numbers. Because you run, you put your effort out there, you don't know which person is pleased with the work you're doing, and you make it through. The first thing we need is the ambition and willingness to run. We don't even require it first to win. We don't. That will come at a stage when it comes. But first, get the ambition. Stop being scared of power. Stop being scared of governance, election positions, and run for them. If not, we can't be the same people who keep complaining and saying, you people, bad governance, this country. But you're never willing to run.
We are sitting on ourselves. Yes.
You're sitting on yourselves. You were scared. When they suggest, now you talk to people and tell them you're running for president.
And then when we see Yvonne going for it,
say, that girl is very brave.
Yes.
You're scaring me before I even reach. What is being brave about it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
We have to be able to push and infiltrate as many spaces as we can.
Yeah.
We just have to do
Yeah,
it.
with all that you've mentioned, ambition, willingness to, to take on leadership. What is that one thing that you think has really inspired you to, make this decision of wanting to be among the many gentlemen in the race?
So when I've looked at this as something that is not even just for myself alone, I've looked at how many doors it opens for so many women.
For so many women,
who look there and say, there's a young woman who ran last time. Don't you think I can also do it? I have told people over and over, a lot of people have known me from the community. I'm not rich. I don't come from an army family. I don't come from some rich dynasty of kings. I don't come from some good English
nomination
speakers.
Alone is 20 million. We are looking at Yvonne.
Uganda has to work with me. Uganda has to work with me. People, you cannot fail me.
Yeah.
We are going to fundraise that money.
Yes.
But it has to be something that opens doors for so many other women. But also not just opening doors for young people, for women. We have to put in the ambition to show that we can actually run this country. Earlier I was saying that we're actually entering transition stages. From these old leaders we have, I don't want to offend anyone, but they are old. They are transitioning out. Our message cannot remain the same. It can't remain we are removing the dictators who... It now has to transition to we are now the next leaders. Are we ready?
You talked of leaving. It's not easy.
It
comes back because nominations are going on, campaigns are starting, but you see a lot of, people who have been there, people who can even no longer walk or by themselves, still coming back for these same positions. So... I mean, we need to do a lot as young people, and Yvonne here is really encouraging all of us, and in particular, the young woman who is watching us. These positions are for everyone. You can do something, wherever you are. And what do you think are the priorities you think you want to focus on? What are these priority areas? When you look at Uganda as a whole, what do you think are your priority areas and issues that you would want to handle?
So I feel, and I've also prepared my administration to concentrate on dignity, prosperity for all Ugandans. We do not want to leave anyone behind anymore. The marginalized groups I was telling you about are very important. We need to be aware that all Ugandans must develop they must develop. We cannot sideline them. So I've concentrated majority of my thought around 3 core areas. One, we are going to partner with Ugandans for a new social contract based in leadership they can trust, that is accountable, and one that is just. We need to change the nature of leadership in this country.
Yeah.
Secondly, we need a new contract around social development. We need to change the social systems so that Ugandans are dignified, they have opportunities to be well, they have opportunities to achieve full humanity, they have opportunities to trade, to prosper. We want them to be dignified. Secondly, that was the second. Thirdly, we are looking at work around regional and the global stage. And we're trying to dignify Uganda and unify the work we are doing at the regional level. If we can shape the nature of our work at regional level and also at the global stage, it will be very important for us to actually push into more aspects of how we can enrich Ugandans to live more dignified lives, but also to cater for even Ugandans that are not in the country, but outside.
Yeah.
So it's largely concentrated around that, just those 3 core areas.
Yeah, yeah. And Yvonne, this is a women's space. I've talked to several women, you know, women come here and they tell you their issues, so many issues affecting women. What do you think? Gender equity in leadership or economy and governance, what will you focus on, or what can be done to see that there is equity mainly for women in economics and governance, leadership, because women are so many, but then there is a lot attached to them. You're working and then you have to take care of the home. Yes, women in land conflicts, and you know, women, there is a lot that happens around. What do you have in mind to see that all these issues about women are handled? And
well, one, the fact that I've done so much work that is at the heart of communities. I have not just listened, I've tried to take action. You know, mothers losing their children in hospitals that barely have medication. How many young women are we losing to unsafe abortions? I was talking about the sex workers movement. How many fierce feminists do we have that are uprising, defending their rights? And there are so many people that are trying to put them down because they feel women should not defend themselves. How many women are in workspaces not being paid and abused? How many are in leadership positions still being sexually harassed? You know, you're leading, but you're not even meaningfully leading. Women are usually used as pawns in this political game. But women are the majority in this country. So when their issues are being raised, you're not bothered. You don't want to address them. But the minute you want votes, you remember all these marginalized groups of women, women with disabilities. You remember then that you need votes from them. Right? So I feel I have concentrated so many efforts around women being able to lead, women being able to be well, women being safe, and women deciding. If those are not met, if they are not empowered to meet all those, we cannot have a peaceful country, and we cannot pretend that it's peaceful. So one, I'm going to strategize around how we can recognize unpaid care work and domestic work. We need to be able to recognize it in the national GDP. Tax systems have to be able to recognize it and the nature of what it is, that it has to be. In fact, it shouldn't be taxed for now. Until we put proper mechanisms in place and proper policies on how we can recognize it, we need to put some things at halt. So we need to recognize it first and foremost. Secondly, with the rising digital era, we need to curb down technology, facilitated violence, image-based abuse. So many women are now in danger, not just of physical abuse, but now technology is being used to curb down on women. So we're going to put very strong frameworks to make sure that we control the nature of how people use people's images online. And we'll make sure that one, and first and foremost, something that we've learned from Kenya, there's an artificial intelligence framework. Uganda has had it in the works for I do not know how long. Up to today, it's not ready. What is taking long? Then thirdly, the land situation in Uganda. A lot of women are still not allowed to own land. So what happens when you're married to someone and you can't jointly own land? So we have to make sure that spouses and women who have been in cohabitation spaces for the longest time are able to own land. So I'm going to make sure that the Land Act, 1, is reformed to make sure it allows joint ownership of land and that women can own resources. There's no point of running around saying we are doing PDM and enriching women to do it, yet they don't own the resources to actually cultivate and do agriculture. How? The produce at the end of the day is going back to the person who owns the land, but they don't own it. Only 26% of women in Uganda own land. So why don't they own land? Then third, we want to do so much work around health, especially maternal health. We feel maternal health should be free. Maternal health should be free. Women of all categories, women with disabilities, veteran women, women that are young, women that come from rural areas, women that come from slums, should be able to access free maternal health because the mortality rates are rising. They are rising, and that should not be possible, because if a country prides itself in women that give birth, why aren't you protecting them when it's time to give birth? It doesn't make sense.
And you talk about health of women. Recently, we had a show on increasing number of HIV and AIDS, and the number is mainly women. Yeah, the number of men is low, but then the women is really, really too high. And then with the funding gap that came in, you said, and all that, what do you think we can do to curb this down? Yeah.
Again, we need strong mechanisms. 1, to curb gender-based violence, most largely sexual violence. If you still have the rates of defilements and rape that you have in the country, you have the rates of teenage pregnancies you're seeing, pregnancies that are not from consensual sex. They are from abuse, and you're still not putting strong mechanisms in place to hold perpetrators accountable. How are you going to reduce the rates of HIV? Because that means they don't have negotiating power. Right? You're failing to protect movements of workers like sex workers. They don't have negotiating power. So are they going to protect themselves against HIV? It's not possible. If we do not protect the most marginalized categories of Ugandans, of Ugandan women, there's nothing to pride in. If you cannot even mention the names of young girls that are dying from unsafe abortions, how are you going to protect them? How are you going to protect them? So HIV, they've made so much progress, but there's so much work for us to do.
To be done,
Especially curbing down on what perpetrators are doing. Most of the delivery of accountability is victim-based. It should not be. It should not be. Perpetrators have to be held accountable. You can't be defiling an 11-year-old and you get away with it, and that kid even gives birth, and you're still there.
People are given just a few months in cell, and
you even go and pay. Most of them you go and pay and you're out.
But then it also goes back to the parents, because there's some parents that will only ask for money. Give me money and you'll go out. So
even
it goes back to
get like a month or 2 in jail. So you learn a lesson.
Yeah, you're right, by the way, because
and poverty, poverty makes a negotiation very difficult.
Even there's so many initiatives, that have been put in place to do away with poverty. Recently, we have PDM.
You're saying, are you seeing it going away?
We have PDM recently.
And I don't have money. So imagine that person who can even barely feed themselves.
And the president is moving around, PDM, changing lives.
The things of the president, because once I start there, now you will see people coming here to arrest me. But poverty is still an issue, and if we don't find mechanisms on how we can empower people and prosper each and every Ugandan to ably feed themselves, and not just hand to mouth of every day of I've earned 10,000, I'm going to eat off this, and you feel the day is done. If they don't learn if they don't prosper enough to even have money to save and be able to invest and etc., we are not going to prosper together.
People work for daily food.
That's it. Even the working class cannot pride in itself and say we are actually savers and investors in this country. We are not. We don't have money. Because even us, we are doing our own form of hand to mouth. There's no money. We are living off loans. So how do we prosper if we are constantly in a pit of the violence of poverty? Violence of poverty will not give you proper negotiation skills. Every small thing you're given, you take it. We have to use even our natural resources for shared prosperity. Poverty is the reason why we're going to remain where we are. We have to address it. I don't want to go into your PDM thing.
Okay, so how do you envision Uganda's role on the global stage, especially in relationship to regional peace, trade, and diplomacy?
Well, I envision a bold leadership for Uganda, Afrocentric identity, and people-centered leadership. We have to do work that is centered around people. And there are so many changing dynamics now at the global stage, at regional level. And we have to be able to keep up. We are not just observers. We cannot just be observers, you people. Ugandans take leadership at the front. And not just leadership as a reactor or an observer, but as a country that is ready to shape what that leadership looks like. It has to be able to shape what global events are. Majority of us are just reactors and onlookers. We say, oh, today these ones are fighting about ABCD. What has Uganda done? Nothing. Yeah. DRC, Rwanda had to fly to where? To America to settle their issues, and Qatar. Why? If we've prided in our leader here as the father of the continent, why are these people flying to the US to settle issues that are home ground issues? Right? So we need Uganda to shape what the global space looks like, to shape those events, to shape regional issues. Uganda has done an amazing work, especially when it comes to security. They've been at the forefront of keeping peace in Somalia, in South Sudan, recently in Eastern Congo, and we feel they've played their role well. And because of that, because they've gotten those credentials, they've been part of peacekeeping missions with the African Union, peacekeeping with the United Nations. So we feel in terms of security, they've done an amazing job. But I feel what we need to carry forward as Uganda and expose to the global space is that now the leadership has to go beyond security. How do we push it beyond security to now diplomacy that is centered in trade? It is centered in investment. It is centered in culture. How do we push our culture out there to the rest of the world to see and say, you people, have you eaten a Ugandan Rolex? Do you know what it tastes like? People think Rolex is a watch. But how do we push our Ugandan culture to be out there? So diplomacy now has to push past just security. We have to push ourselves and sell Uganda as something bigger than just security. And that has to be in trade, investment, and these other aspects of. I feel also even in peace, we need to continue. We don't want to drop that. Peacekeeping is very good. Preventive conflict. If we can prevent conflict from happening in the region, we need to take the forefront. And if we can take charge of what is happening in the diaspora with our Ugandans, that is good. Because majority of the Ugandans that are out there are our ambassadors, they are investors, and they are actors. So if we don't also put them at the forefront of what our governance is, and in the thoughts of what we are planning and shaping, they become stand-byers and watchers. So it's very important that we also take the diplomacy we have at regional level and global level, past just security, into other aspects of development.
Wow. And so about democratic institutions to protect future generations, there's so many, the youth are the majority of this country. What do you think you have in line or you'll have in line to see that the generation is protected, future generation?
One, now, not cling to power. Make sure I emphasize that. It's very unfair that we had built such an extraordinary constitution and it was dismantled at the click of a finger. It was a betrayal to the people. It was a betrayal to Ugandans that we betrayed the constitution to serve personal interests. For someone to run for president for as long as their life is on this earth. I remember I was among the people arrested in 2016 for protesting against the age limit bill, allowing the president to run for life. And that was one of my, I'd even just graduated. So I had this thing I said, we cannot allow it to pass. I went straight to the streets. We were arrested, brutally arrested, with even old women. They didn't care. But I said, no, this cannot be a country allowed to run like this. And even at that young age, I understood the importance of having a constitution that is properly respected and that dignifies Ugandans. So one, we shall make sure that transitions are actually very legal processes They are heavily mechanized in terms of legal aspects, and that as soon as it's your time to go, I beg, please, pack your bags and go.
Go.
And that will definitely put back the age limit and term limits. A president should not exceed 2 terms. I don't believe so. We should not exceed 2 terms. If your 2 terms are done, pack your bags and go. If your age is not the age meant to be in the leadership space, please, Moses Ali, honestly. Go home and rest. Go and take care of your cows and look after your grandchildren. What is in retirement that people don't want to go to? Maybe there's something there we're not seeing.
You've chased people.
But also, we need to structure very independent systems. The Electoral Commission, their appointments, the IGG, the Human Rights Commission, their appointments cannot be based on the executive, the president alone. If we can put that power into civil society to do their role and elect, how many times will they actually be shamed to do the things they are doing? We need their independence to come from the parliament and to come from the civil society space that can hold them accountable. On top of that, we need an independent judiciary. We have to push for an independent media. And mostly, I will make sure that political literacy is at the core of every curriculum in schools. So that the minute you're even 10 years old, you know the role of accountability, you know the role of good governance, and you know why systems have to work well for everyone.
I love that because political education was scrapped off. So this needs to come back.
It has to.
These children have to grow up, knowing all these things.
You can't leave them to teach themselves, and probably it's intentional, because the more you know, the more uprisings you have. So scraping it is we are cutting off dissenting voices. So we have to reintroduce it. People, as young children from as young as 9, 10 need to know what accountability is, what good leadership is, what good governance is. If not, we're going to raise generations that can't critically think, they can't critique, and they're not bothered about power. And yet everything affects them every other day. But they will not be bothered if they have not been taught from the get-go. That is what good governance is. So we need to teach them. Political literacy is very important.
Right, our time is fast spent, and as we try to wrap up this conversation, I want to bring in one thing. We see what is going on in Kenya with the young, the youth. To a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think Ugandan youth are engaged into all these governance processes?
Ugandan youth are extremely engaged and are trying to engage. I've seen comments saying, if Ugandans try to uprise like the way Kenyans are doing.
Literally from Kenya.
They try to compare so many times, and it's a tactic I hate so much. Because why are you doing that? They are doing what they are doing. Ugandan youth actually trying. The one thing I would emphasize is we need to start programming what our messaging is. And we need to start realizing that now the leadership that now is coming is transitional. And like I was saying, it can no longer be that we are chasing away the dictator. The dictator is about to go. I'm sorry, that's not a threat. I don't know when it's going, but I mean, age. We feel he's about to go, and there has to be a transition process now that happens between that generation and the coming generations. But now the message needs to be how ready and prepared are we to run a country at our age. If all of us are shying away from power, who is going to lead? If all of us are boycotting elections, what will that system look like in a few years from now? Right? So because systems have been impenetrated and made shabby, it doesn't mean you have to give up on them. You must protect what is good. You must protect good governance. And our role is to make sure we keep pushing until the right thing is done, until we have good leaders, until we are the leaders ourselves. And we have to be the good leaders we've been pushing for. So it is a transitional message. We are coming in.
Giving up is not an option.
It's not an option. We are the ones coming in.
So how do you keep going? What keeps you moving? What are some of your work ethics that you think, this is what you follow, and any young person, watching us can take down and use that as one way to,
You have to work hard.
Working hard,
You have to work hard. There are so many days I feel lazy. I don't get out of my bed and I'm thinking, but why must I do it?
Yeah.
But you have to realize if you don't do it, who is going to do it? So we cannot
That's the spirit
delegate
we need.
the work to someone else. You have to do it. Unless it's actually delegatable, you have to do it. So you have to work hard. But you have to remember to be a person who works hard but with integrity. It does not make sense for you to become a leader who becomes an ex-thief. We don't want any more thieves. We are done. We don't want any more leaders telling us, what can you do?
Yeah.
We don't want any more leaders calling us bumless. Jesus Christ, me, I'm traumatized. We don't want.
I know. Yeah.
We need leaders that are ethical. They must have integrity. They must respect that leadership is human-based. It's people-centered. If they don't have those core principles of being accountable, of being transparent to other people, because it begins with very small things. If you don't begin with those, even that's where we are going, there will be no change.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Yvonne. First of all, for coming through. Secondly, for all the good things, the good words, the knowledge that you've shared with our viewers. I believe if you've listened in very well, there is a lot to pick from Yvonne's experience and, of course, what she plans to do for you, the young woman, and the young people, yes, in Uganda, but also over the globe. So feel free to leave a comment, share what you've learned within during the conversation, and yes, one thing you can do for us, you can share the link to your family and friends. There is a lot of knowledge that has been shared here. When you share this link, someone else will watch and benefit, yes, from what you also benefited. Yvonne, your last remarks to your people, your family, people you work with, your fellow young women, and everyone who loves you.
The next leaders of this country. We are coming.
Yeah.
We are coming.
Yeah.
We are coming. We are being very intentional with occupying these spaces. And it doesn't matter if we are young, it doesn't matter if we are women. We are coming here with a purpose. We are taking governance. We are taking governance as our core function now to make sure that it's running right. We have to make sure this country is being run by people that understand what they are doing, that have integrity, that can be transparent. And we have to make sure that even as young people, we prepare for the role to take over our transitioning elders who are about to step out. So we have to get ready. We have to get ready. I encourage so many people, so many young people and women take up leadership spaces. I encourage so many categories of Ugandans, no matter what their categorization is, marginalized in whatever way, to take up leadership positions. Be leaders in all the small spaces you can be. You know, no matter what you are, whether you have a disability, whether you take up leadership, because that is the way people are going to hear the voice, that this is what you're representing. If not, the silence is going to kill us, and silence is not something that has ever raised a nation. We have to be the people that speak and act.
Leadership starts with you, so do not sit on yourself. You're capable. You can do anything. In the little space that you have, you can be a leader. Thank you so much to Yvonne. Thank you for coming through. It has been a very good conversation, and we wish you well.
Thank you for having me.
We wish you all the best in all the endeavors that you're trying to push here and there, all the agendas that you're trying to push, the women agendas, the young people agenda, everything that you're trying to push.
Thank you.
Yeah, we wish you all the best, and we hope that you're joined by very many young people. Yes. How can people join the foundation, by the way? Someone might be watching us and fully interested in joining the foundation.
So we usually reach out to different diverse communities to identify.
You identify, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can endorse someone who is a good like yourself, and these friends of mine I'm seeing, women in STEM, women in digital era. If you can endorse people, can possibly be willing. Even ambition is enough. Come and we nurture that talent out of you, that potential. Potential is there. It's very diverse in Uganda. But we need to nurture people to actually take up leadership positions.
And many young people, you're not even sure, but you have the potential within you, but you don't know how to bring this.
Because that's what representation does. If you're not simple doing it, you'll assume it's not doable. So the more they see so many of us looking this young going out there to do it, the more they are going to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And that is what breaking barriers starts from. We have to be ambitious enough to try.
Yeah. There is a lot that we can, continue talking about with Yvonne. Things to do with young people and women are very, very interesting, and there is a lot that we can share. But we have to stop here and maybe join you some other time with Yvonne. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, thank you so much to our viewers. You're always very wonderful viewers. You keep coming back to Women Rise and in Civic Space TV in particular. Thank you so much to the people behind the cameras. We have a woman behind the camera. Thank you so much. And from us, Women Rise, Civic Space TV. Bye. Next time.